everyone does on this podcast, quite a story to tell. So give us a little bit about your background, who you are, your family, your kids, where you were born and raised, all the things.
So I have 3 kids, and I just celebrated my 30th wedding anniversary with my husband.
Nice. What did you guys do?
I moved to California and went down the northern coast.
Awesome.
Yeah. And I have LGBT children. My youngest is transgender, and I have a son who's bisexual but just mostly dates men. And then my oldest is married and lives in Salt Lake.
Well, I was not expecting that introduction right then and there. That's awesome. So before we get into that, because it's deep and it's heavy and it's been a lot of, I'm sure, navigating for you. But tell me first about your background, like you as a child and what happened to you.
Yeah. Okay, so I was born in the backwoods of Ohio, and my birth name was Sissy. And I was the 3rd child of 3 to a woman who had a lot of addiction issues. My 2 brothers have different fathers than I do, and I was unwanted. She would try to get rid of me by running into walls and jumping off of tables and things, and partied quite a bit. And so at 2 days old, I was thrown in the trash.
Like the literal trash?
Yeah, the actual trash. And by the time I was 2, I was custody of the state, and my father's parents, they weren't totally aware that he was my father, but his parents took care of the 3 of us. And
I'm like trying to let you go, but I'm like picturing all of this in my mind. So how did you even know that was just, who told you that she was running into walls and trying to basically abort herself?
Yeah, family members who knew her.
Eventually, when you grew, told you what she had been trying to do. And,
yeah.
Okay, so continue, because I have so many questions just about her. Have you met up with her?
Yeah.
You have since?
Yeah, I met her about 6 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I actually really love her, and forgiving her and having a relationship with her has been really healing for me, because I blamed her for quite a bit when I was younger.
Of course you did. So those 2 brothers, what happened to them?
They are older than I am. One lives in South Carolina and has 3 children. One's passed away. And then another lives in Logan and is married and has two kids.
Wow.
But we've all struggled with it in different ways.
Yeah. So did someone find you?
Yeah, actually someone pulled me out of the trash. It's actually my birth father.
Oh.
She had called and told him that she had something to show him. And so he came over, and she had said that I was his, and he found me in the trash covered with garbage and newspaper and stuff.
And how long were you in there?
Oh, I have no idea.
Oh my gosh. That was 2 days old?
Yeah.
Okay, so then you're in state custody.
By the time I was 2. So when I was 2, she, I don't know the real story. We've been told so many stories.
Yeah.
The story we've been told is that she left and never came back, and that the state had custody of us. But however it happened, we were taken in by my paternal parents. So my paternal grandparents. Yeah.
And then they raised you for how long?
Well, my grandfather died of lung cancer when I was 4, and my grandmother couldn't afford to feed the 3 of us, and she actually had cancer that was undiagnosed at the time. And so when I was 7, just before I turned 7, we were adopted into an LDS family in Ohio, and they were abusive.
When you say we, was it you and the 2 boys?
Yeah.
So they went. You had a relationship with these boys when you
Oh
were
yeah.
young. Okay.
Yeah.
And ironically, you go to an LDS home and you're abused in this home. Not ironically, but like.
Yeah. And my adoptive father was just very prone to angry outbursts and very violent. And my adoptive mother was later diagnosed with bipolar disorder. Not that everyone with bipolar disorder abuses their children, but she was very out of control.
Yeah.
And so.
Did they have other kids that you came into the family
with?
Yeah.
They do. They have 2 of their own biological children who were also somewhat abusive. Like my they abused us as well.
The siblings did.
Yeah, not so much my sister, but our oldest brother.
Probably because it's all they knew, right?
Maybe.
Yeah. Oh well, it's at least a house that they grew up in. It was normal, I guess.
Chaotic.
There.
Yeah.
Okay, so how long were you? Is that where you grew up? The rest of your
Yeah.
teenage
So
life?
my name became Candace, and then I grew up in that home, and it was dysfunctional is a good word for it,
Yeah.
and hard, and I was wild, absolutely like out of control, and yeah, graduated high school. My brothers both ran away when I was at home. That was really hard. My closest brother is 16 months older than I am. He ran away when I was 15, and it was devastating. And I was just completely out of control. Yeah, it was tough.
Did they come back?
No.
They left for good.
Oh yeah.
Have you been able to have a relationship with the one that's in Logan?
Yeah.
You still did. That's
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
And so, in this family, I mean, do you have a relationship with the biological siblings and the parents still?
No. They're still abusive. Like they're still. Part of the problem was that I was blamed for a lot of things that went wrong in the family, and so that's still going on. Like I'm the cause of all the trouble. So I can't do it anymore. Like I have too much going on in my own life with my own kids.
Yeah, how did you finally get out of that?
I think 2 or 3 times I've said, "Don't contact me. I can't."
I'm sorry. That was. How did you get out of the home finally? Like, did you
I
graduate
graduated
high school?
Yeah.
And then you took off.
Yeah.
So in an LDS family, that did they go to church and practice LDS values and all the things?
LDS values, I'm not sure about. It was, we definitely put on a show on Sundays and got all dressed up and, had to kind of perform like we were okay. Yeah.
So you were ready to when you turned 18 and graduated, you were out of there.
So ready, yeah.
Yeah. And what happened? So then what happened?
Good question. I went to college and dropped out and went to Jackson Hole and partied a lot and lived like just an absolutely wild lifestyle and was really unhappy and was suicidal, definitely. And I had a lot of bad things happen to me as someone who was drinking too much and was young. And it was a really rough time period for me.
I was going to ask if it was like, if you look back on it like fondly. I mean, you answered that question by saying you were unhappy, but like, was it fun, I guess?
No.
Yeah, it wasn't.
No, yeah. I was just destroying myself slowly. Yeah.
And then you met your husband.
Yeah, so I met my husband before I moved to Jackson Hole. And then when he got home from his mission, I was a complete disaster, but he still loved me and still wanted to be with me.
I'm assuming you probably weren't active in the church at that point.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I left the church when I was maybe 14.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
How did that go over with your parents?
I pretended that, I did what most kids do. You know what I mean? Like
In your heart, you left.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Big time. Because I didn't want to be anything that they were.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe anything. And I think, too, it's hard when your example is not good. Yeah. Right? And so I felt like I just didn't, if that's what the church was, is people who were hypocrites or like beat their children or, said terrible things, then I didn't want any part of it.
Anything to do with it.
Yeah.
Right. But your husband happens to be LDS, correct?
Yeah.
When you meet him. And so how does that go over?
Yeah, so I got home from his mission and he saw how I was living and said, "Hey, I love you, but I really believe the church is true. Will you give it a try?" And I honestly started going just to prove it wrong. Really? Yeah, I thought, great opportunity to like get him to quit going also. Yeah. And just prove it wrong. And I eventually, not at first, I did have a fantastic bishop in Jackson Hole, but I ended up moving with him to Idaho and had a fantastic, phenomenal bishop that I absolutely, absolutely adore, who just helped me through everything I was going through.
Did you see yourself start to go from like this like conniving, trying to stop him from going to crap, I'm starting to love this and believe this again? Like, did you see that shift in yourself?
Pretty quickly.
Really?
Yeah, because of how I felt about myself.
Oh, you felt better about you.
Yeah. I think one of the first talks the week that I went to church first, this person spoke about repentance and how much better they felt. And I desperately needed that.
Wow.
Like with desperation, needed that feeling to feel good about myself.
I just love that your husband now, like I don't want to say took a chance, but like growing up for me.
Oh, a huge chance.
But like, you know, you're taught not to date that kind of person. You know what I mean? But he did, and like loved you aside from all of the wild and crazy things you were doing, because I was taught like you steer clear of those. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
Those kinds
he was
of
from
boys.
Detroit, and so there weren't very many LDS people there, and so he was pretty open-minded. And his family, his parents have done a fantastic job of being people who are unconditional lovers.
And not judging.
So, yeah.
That's which we need a lot more of here, you know. And I probably think that way because I'm from Utah, where we're all born and bred Mormons for the most part, you know. Okay, so you guys end up moving to Utah, and then get married and have kids.
We waited a long time to have children, mostly because I was really afraid to be a mother.
Yeah.
And it's something that I had always wanted, which is surprising. But when I was little, I mean, not that little, I was probably 8 or 9, I had a pretend imaginary family. And I had a little daughter named Cindy and a husband named Billy. And I took such good care of Cindy. And my brothers would make fun of me. I do have a memory of walking up our street, and my imaginary daughter Cindy was going to run into the road, and I stopped her. And was explaining to her why it's dangerous. And I looked over, and my brother was watching me. And he's like, "Who are you talking to?" And I was like, brothers are stupid. And so I took care of this imaginary daughter.
Wow.
And on a 5th grade paper I had to write what I wanted to be. I wrote Mommy. And I think I definitely wanted to, as I grew also, I wanted to be the mother I didn't have.
Yeah.
Like that mother that you need that I didn't have, but I also wanted control.
Yeah.
Mommy seemed to have a lot of control over my life, and so I really wanted that control.
It's like you had that innate nurture even as a little girl, you know, that you wanted to take care of something and someone. You weren't being taken care of, yourself. And so it makes sense to me that you would want that to have that in your own life. And I mean, did you just cry when you saw that, Mommy? Like later in life, reading that as your 5-year-old self, you see Mommy on there, and you're like, oh my gosh. I mean, it's surprising that you would write that. You know what I mean?
It's a little heartbreaking, yeah. So we waited kind of a long time. I was really nervous, and I remember one time having a conversation about never having children. And I told him, look, if we can't have kids, I don't want to adopt. I think that would be too hard for me. And we definitely talked about not having children. I was so nervous to continue the cycle and be abusive.
You were worried
and I
about that
really
yourself.
didn't want that to happen, but I was just worried.
Yeah.
And then we did eventually have our first, daughter, and loving her was easy.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what I was doing, but I knew how to love her. Yeah.
What was her name?
Emily.
That's Emily. And then was it Sky after that?
No, and then we waited kind of a long time to have another child, and so then we had Cole, and then our youngest was born in 2006.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Cole and Emily, and then Sky was the last, right?
Yeah.
And then, so tell me, so moving on with your journey, you're in now the thick of motherhood. And what is it like? Are you the mom you wanted to be?
No, definitely not.
I don't know if any of us are.
I had really high unrealistic expectations for myself. Before Emily was born, I made a list of all the things I wasn't going to do. Sorry.
No, it's real.
And I wrote, not be angry, right? Because if you're angry at someone, then you could abuse them. And so I had these, just completely unrealistic expectations of myself to be superhuman. And I tried so hard to live up to my own expectations of what I thought a perfect mother was. And was constantly disappointing myself. I felt like a failure. And it was really difficult. And my son they actually thought he had oppositional defiant disorder as a child. He was wild. I mean, absolutely wild. He would, he's so sweet. He's so wonderful. I love him so much. As a child, he was very defiant and would spit, like ask for a drink and then spit it all over me, or ask for a snack and just like watch my face as he like poured it out in front of me and like stomped it on the carpet, or, you know, would kick me and bite me and scream, and would have panic attacks by the time he was age 4. It was wild. And I was eventually diagnosed with some like mental health stuff as a child, and that was really difficult. It pushed me as a mother.
And then you're blaming yourself for getting upset with him.
Of course.
Like every mother would do, right?
So I signed up for parenting classes. I was like, oh, this is beyond me, you know? And I remember the first class was about loving your children. And I met with the teacher afterwards and said, I need more help than what you've given here. Like, I need some real help. And she's like, okay, what's going on? And I kind of told her what's going on. And I remember at the end saying, I think I hate my child. Like coming home after work and dealing with this crazy, like 3-year-old is insane.
Exhausting.
And she helped me through that. She helped me. I remember her first advice that day was find little moments where he's behaving and notice it. And tell him you love him 10 times a day. And I said, well, what if I'm not feeling it? And she said, say it anyway, and the feeling will come. You do love your child, but it's just hard right now. And so we have such a special relationship now because I worked so hard to love him. I know that sounds
no, it doesn't
wrong.
at all.
I'm so sorry. But I really struggled with it, and I got him into counseling. At a young age with a psychologist up at the U, and that helped a lot because we had a diagnosis and we knew what was going on.
So this isn't just being strong-willed. I mean, this is like a whole different level of defiance. And did he like grow out of it? You know? Yeah,
actually, he kind of, it grew into more depression. Yeah, and he kind of he became very quiet. I'm very shy and very kind of withdrawn with age.
And how's he doing now?
He's doing really well now. He is a student and works and graduated high school, and we've had some rough moments with him that were hard. But he's doing really well now.
Good.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I have 8, but there are some that are harder than others.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And, you know, I've got a couple who take up just as much energy as all 8 combined.
Sure.
Did you feel that, like, with any of your kids where all the focus was on one, or I guess maybe they took turns?
Absolutely, yes. I do think they kind of took turns. Cole was a lot of time with doctor's appointments and kind of helping him walk through his anxiety that he was feeling, and the anxiety disorder that he had. And then as he grew and learned lots of skills how to manage his anxiety, and we got on the right medications, that got better.
Okay, good.
And then when my youngest guy was 12, it was actually just after my oldest left on a mission. They came out as gay. And then they came out as non-binary, which is why I use they, them pronouns, and then transgender.
I listened to you speak at a church function, and you mentioned that you heard him just sobbing in his bedroom. And is that when you found out? Because you went in to talk to him. Actually,
it was really beautiful, and I don't suggest that you do this, but when my daughter left on her mission, it was really difficult for me. I have real abandonment issues, and when people move, even people I'm not that close to, I'll break down. And when she went on her mission, it was very, very difficult for me. And 9 days after she left, I was starting to feel better. And I woke up and said a prayer. Okay, I'm feeling better. I'm ready for this next thing that I've been feeling is coming. I'm ready. Lay it on me.
Oh my gosh.
I'm totally ready. And I don't suggest that you do that.
Because you'll get it.
So that night, I said something that offended Sky. Sky was very temperamental, I think is a good word. And I think it's worth mentioning that Sky was born with a rare disorder called congenital adrenal hyperplasia that really predisposes, I don't know about boys, but DNA females, when they're born, it predisposes them to be masculine and also be transgender, much more than the general population, which we had no idea.
How do you discover that? Like, do they do blood tests or or is it just through like a psychologist?
That's a good question. We discovered it later, but they were born different than most babies are born.
Really?
And so we knew, and Sky was in the hospital quite a bit at first.
Wow.
And we weren't quite sure what gender they were. And then they said, it's a girl. Karyotype is female. And then they said, we were told a lot of information, but then they said, it's a girl.
Is that when they're like kind of born with the X and Y chromosome?
That's a good question. I don't think so. I think their karyotype is female.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she grew up as your daughter?
Yes.
And then at 12?
Yeah, so I said something that offended Sky that night. My oldest daughter had been gone 9 days on the mission.
Right.
And was really upset and wouldn't come to dinner and went in their room. And at 10:30 at night, I can't remember what was happening that day. I was busy. And I was in my pajamas. I was climbing into bed. And I very distinctly felt I should go down and talk to Sky. And I almost didn't. I was like very tired and wanted to go to bed. But I marched downstairs and Sky was in their bed just sobbing under the covers. Just absolutely sobbing. And so after a lot of talking and trying to assure, Sky came out as gay and was very angry at me and was very angry at the church and had a lot of pain and heartache that started to come out over the course of the next couple of years, several years.
Was probably so relieved to finally get it out, right?
Maybe
not so much.
Maybe, but was being bullied at school. Like I told, school friends. And it was hard. Yeah, it was really hard. It wasn't hard that my child was gay. That's not true. It was hard that Sky was in a lot of pain. Yeah. And then later, Sky came out as non-binary.
I should know this. I don't really know what non-binary is.
Non-binary is where someone, and I'm not an expert, I'm not, haven't experienced this myself, but this is what I know of it, is that you don't really associate yourself with female or male. You really neither feel like neither. And so a lot of people who are non-binary go by they, them pronouns. Okay. Right? So
how long was that period for?
Before they came out as transgender?
I guess how long were they gay and then binary and then trans? Like how long was the binary phase?
That's a good question. Maybe a year or less.
And then they just decide to transition at that point, or they decide that they just would rather be one gender over the other, or like how did they decide finally?
Yeah, so I remember the conversation. We were in the car talking, and Sky let me know that they really felt that they were a boy. And then they turned to me and said, does it matter? And I had to pause for a minute. Did it matter? And yeah, it did matter. But I think what they were asking at the time was my love at risk? Yeah. And so I assured them it did not matter, that I would love them no matter what gender that they chose to be, that my love was greater than their gender. And then, yes, they wanted a haircut, a boy haircut and boy clothing and boy pronouns and boy everything, boy underwear, boy everything.
Wow. So is there, I'm trying to be careful with my words because I'm thinking so hard about using they, them. Like you probably got into the habit of being able to say it now, right? So how come that you don't call them he now?
He's a little more difficult, although I do. I absolutely do. And so does my family.
Okay.
I used they, them longer.
So it's just
and so it's kind of
used
what
to-
I'm used to, but I'm okay saying he, him. Absolutely.
Tell me though, like for you as their mom, did you grieve the loss of your daughter?
Yeah, and that's normal. That's totally normal. I definitely prayed a lot, and wanted to do what I thought was the right thing, but I wanted to show my child love and support when they were going through this difficult time. And so we went shopping for boy clothes, and we got a boy haircut, and we did all of those things. And I talked to their teachers and let them know that they were transitioning to be a boy, and that they needed to use he, him pronouns and all of that. Yeah, for sure. And I know that some parents are uncomfortable with that. I prayed a lot and knew that that was the right choice for us.
Which was probably the greatest act of love that your child has probably felt in years or ever.
Yeah, I do think that for me as a Christian, the best way to bring someone to Christ is with love.
Yeah.
And they needed a mother who was trying to understand and support this journey.
But you're doing that in Utah.
Yes.
Like that must have been twice as challenging.
Absolutely. You know, Sky was being bullied at school
Oh, I can
by
imagine.
the LDS kids.
Of course.
Yeah, and that was very, very difficult at the time. And there were some kids at church, but Sky left when they were almost 13 and stopped coming. But there were things said that were really offensive. Yeah, it was hard at first.
How old is Sky now?
Almost 18.
Is he still in high school?
Yeah, a senior in high school.
And have things gotten better?
Oh, so much better. It was really rough then. It was really rough for a long time.
When you said he left school, did you homeschool or something?
Oh, no. Did I say school? I meant church.
Oh, okay.
They
I
left
just did
church.
Okay, school.
Yeah, no, they continued with school. Actually, we did homeschool for a little while. The bullying was too much, and it was clear that Sky was in a lot of pain from something, and so we did homeschool for a while. And then when Sky started high school, it was just clear that Sky was in a lot of pain, and they were mostly just taking it out on me. I was safe. And I met with my parenting coach again. I called and was like, hey, I'm going through something really difficult right now. I need help. Because Sky was lashing out a lot. And the parenting coach said, I want you to come up with a quick one-liner when Sky's telling you that they hate you, or they hate who you are, or your religion, or whatever it is. And so what we came up with together was, I'll always love you. And so Sky did tell me they hated me quite a bit, and I would always come back with, I will always love you. But there were times that I had to leave the room where it got to be too much. Sky would say some very hurtful things that they have apologized for. But I would say, I can't stay, but I love you. I'll always love you. And leave the room and just sob. It was like, as someone who really wanted that family unit and to be a mother, it really, like I say this when I'm telling this story, but it did break me in ways I didn't know I could be broken. And I had quite a difficult upbringing and things we haven't touched on. Like I had dealt with some pretty difficult emotions and difficult experiences. This was very difficult for me.
Did your kids give you any kind of grace because of how you were raised and knowing that you were an abandoned baby and abandoned and abused child? Did they ever give you like, you know what, my mom had a rough time too, and like
now as adults.
They do now.
Yeah, now as adults. At the time it was kind of like, and I have said to them before, I'm the wrong person to complain to about cleaning the bathroom. Do you know, like, or whatever. I'm the wrong person to complain about that. I'm actually a much better mother than what I've experienced. And they would be like, well, Mom, you know, we've heard that a million times.
I had to walk to school in 8 feet of snow. Stop complaining. Like I say that stuff.
Yeah, so I think it got old. But now as adults, I've heard them say things like that. Like, oh, well, your experience was so difficult or whatever.
Right.
So I think they're more understanding as adults.
But it shapes us into who we are and to how we feel and the perspective that we have. Does Sky resent you for staying in the church?
That's a good question, and I know that that does happen. I've met parents like that. No, I at first for sure.
Yeah.
But
and likewise Cole, right?
Yeah. And Emily, they've all left.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But
Emily,
she's heterosexual female, right?
For the most part, yeah.
Oh, okay, so you struggle with it with all three in some way.
Yes, I have a lot of LGBT in my family. Yeah.
And they've
And
all
extended
probably
family.
resented you at one point.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. We've had conversations where they felt very forced to go to church and believe as I did.
Yeah.
And then when Sky left and we were able to accept it and love Sky through it, they felt that they could leave and my love was not in danger.
Yeah. Well, and you had drilled that down their throat all the time, right? I'll always love you. I'll always love you. To the point where they're probably like, I know you'll always love me. Don't say
But
it.
I don't think I knew unconditional love until for me, I didn't know how to love unconditionally until I was pushed, until it was difficult to love, until I was disappointed.
Yeah.
I was never disappointed that my child was gay or LGBT, but I think when you, how can I say this best? I think when you have expectations, how you want things to be, and then you have things turn out differently, that's when you're tested.
Yeah.
That's when you're truly tested. And you have to let go of, I thought it was going to go this way. That's when your love is tested, and that's when you learn unconditional love, to love someone you don't understand or that's difficult to love. That's when you learn unconditional love. And so I think I really learned how to love without any limits, without any bounds, without any conditions.
Well, and I think that's also when your faith is tested. So
Of
your
course.
love is being tested, as well as your faith in a Christ that teaches you love. And so, I mean, I listened to your testimony in that church conference that you spoke at, and how did that help you? I know this is a very, neutral podcast, but he helped you through all this, right?
Absolutely. I was on my knees a lot, and felt guided and felt the love of God and Jesus Christ consistently.
Wow.
I think that when you love as they love, you do feel them there. They will help you with that. When you have situations where it's difficult to love, they will step in and help through that for sure. And I had a lot of what we call tender mercies, or where I was led by the hand through. One of the very biggest, there was a day when Sky was getting in trouble at school a lot. And I got a call from the office, and Sky had done something, and the feeling of being a failure was really heavy on my shoulders. And I went into my closet and was like, where did I go wrong? What did I do? And I felt very strongly to go and read John 9, which is the story of the Savior coming across the man with his disciples who was born blind. And the disciples say, who sinned here? Is the man that sinned, he was born blind, or the parents that sinned? And Christ says, no one sinned. It's so that the work of God can be made manifest in this man. And I think that the work of God is to bring us home. And so Christ was essentially saying to the people, this is God leading him home. And I felt very strongly, this is God leading you home. It's messy, super messy, but this is God leading you home. And by extension, this is God leading Sky home. This is God leading Cole home. And my oldest daughter, who has been through quite a lot also, this is God leading her home also. This is God leading them home.
But getting me back to God. So what have you learned through your kids about the LGBT community? You're a huge advocate now.
Totally.
Right?
I love the LGBT community.
You said you
so
call them
much.
your people?
Yeah, I do. That's true, yeah. They don't want me, but I totally want them, Yeah, I think, let's see. Sky asked me many years ago to attend Pride, and I never have, and asked me to march in a transgender march for rights, and I was worried. I was worried that I wouldn't fit in, that I didn't belong. I mean, I had a lot of worries, and Sky at the time felt very marginalized, and there was a huge gathering at the Capitol, and we walked up, what is that, State Street? I can't remember, North Temple. And came to the Capitol grounds, and it was 20,000 people, 30,000 people, and I stopped, and said, Sky, the next time you feel unsupported, I want you to think of this moment.
Yeah.
And it was big for me too, because I didn't feel alone. Like I knew I had a community of people, you know, working through this same thing.
Were you worried about being judged?
Totally.
Yeah.
You know, it's worth saying 10, 15 years ago, you could have been reprimanded.
For sure.
Absolutely. And I know people who have been through that. And so to be able to support your child in that way is huge.
Because you also mentioned that Sky went to girls' camp, right?
That's right.
And that one of the leaders, or bishop, or the leaders they had come over and asked, like, what do we call them, and how do we use the pronouns? Wasn't that right?
Yeah, so fantastic.
Which was, mind-blowing.
Yeah,
like,
and worked with some
age.
of the older women in the ward to use they, them.
Even the older women. Yeah.
Huge.
Who I feel like, you know, I was in an interracial marriage, and so to have, you know, comments of, oh, you're not supposed to be dating outside your race, like the way that it has, what's the word, developed and progressed is probably the same thing has happened with the LGBT, because back then bishops would not be saying what they're saying now. Right. You know, which is an amazing thing. At least we have that going for us. Are they still happy and positive, and you're the church leaders with Sky?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Good.
Sky doesn't want to have anything to do with the church, but they're great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it is worth mentioning that a lot of people here in Utah and in the country and the world are dealing with the new handbook instructions on being transgender, which hit a couple of weeks ago. And it's been really difficult for the LGBT community.
I didn't understand. I don't think I knew what it said before. How has it changed?
I'm not an expert, but it has changed in that transgender people who have transitioned, what roles they can have in the church has changed. And it used to be kind of what's called, I'm not sure if you've heard this term before, but leader roulette. It kind of depends on which stake president you have, or which bishop you have, how you're going to be treated, which is really
what
terrible.
I'm saying, like, you had a good one, thankfully.
And the bathroom usage, I think, has been the most hurtful, where if you have transitioned to a different gender and you want to use the gender you associate with that bathroom, the bathroom has to be empty, and you have to have someone standing outside so that no one else enters in.
And that's in the handbook.
And then the other thing I know is that you cannot work with youth or children. But studies have shown time and time again that transgender people are some of the safest with women and children.
Interesting. More
than doctors, leaders, politicians, teachers. Like, the rate of a transgender person hurting someone else is very, very low.
So you hear that, and yet you're still faithful, right? I mean, you're still going to follow, and you're still going to believe and hold to your covenants, even though it was probably hurtful to you too.
Yeah, and I don't think we have all the information. I was telling someone about the handbook changes, and they said, oh, that's probably for legal reasons. There are like 10 states where it's illegal to use the bathroom of the gender that if you haven't had surgery for yet. And so I hadn't thought of that before. And so I try, you know, I have had issues where leaders have said things that have somewhat offended me. That was difficult, and I took it to the Lord and just said, how do I handle this? And I felt that I'm someone who gives people a lot of leeway, and so I need to give them leeway too. Being a leader is quite difficult, and making these decisions can be heartbreaking for them. And I think that they are doing their best.
Good for
you. And
so
I give them the leeway to say, I think they're doing their best, and things do change. These are not doctrinal points, they're policy points, and the policy does change, and so hang in there. If you're transgender and LDS, hang in there. Give us some time. I know that's terrible and hurtful, but give us some time.
Yeah, because the church moves, as we know, at a very much slower pace.
As does our judicial system, as does our policy system.
Totally.
So hang in there.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, if there's anything that you would want to say, or, you know, to somebody going through this, whether that's a mom or a dad or a child, what would you say? How would you, if you could go back, what would you have done differently, I guess, learning that your children were going through this? maybe not have such high expectations of yourself? I mean, what would you have done differently, I guess?
That's a good question. I think I've given myself a lot of grace looking in hindsight that I was trying my absolute best. Things I wish I had done differently. When Sky first came out, I didn't handle it as well as I wish I had. It was hard for me to accept, and that was hard for Sky. I think that it took me a while to find my community. I think you have to have, I mean, there are a lot of women and men going through this right now. You have to find people who are going through the same thing that you can kind of support each other. And that's been huge for me to have support through. And
do you do that with like Facebook groups and?
Yeah, there are a lot of Facebook groups. Actually, there are a lot of communities that you can find that kind of believe the same way you do. So there's Mama Dragons, there's a North Star, which is an LDS group. There's Encircle here in Utah. I'm not sure if they have, but in other states, like Utah Pride, I'm sure that there are in other states organizations where you can go and actually meet with other parents or other children or other adults who are going through exactly what you're going through. So I'm a part of a couple of groups that are parents of gender identity kids.
Wow.
And so that's huge. But you can do that online. You don't have to do that in person. There are online groups.
Are there like events and parties?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I know Lift and Love is big. I can't list them all off here, but there are a lot of organizations that will help you through. And I think that something that's really common when someone first finds out that their child is transgender is really accepting the way that it used to be or what they thought they wanted. And sometimes we look through our loved ones at what we thought we wanted them to be instead of seeing what really is. And I think it's really, really important to know that you can love what was. I loved Sky as a little girl, and big bows and ballet classes. I loved that. But I can also love what's happening now. I can also love having this teenager that struggles with gender identity and struggles with finding who they are and wants to be a boy. I can love that too. I can absolutely love that.
Is your husband on board, and does he feel the same way as you?
That's a great question, because actually a lot of men are a little slower to, what's the right word? Like you said, come on board kind of with the whole thing. But yeah, he's amazing.
Wow.
He's amazing, yeah.
It sounds like your kids were blessed with loving and great parents who, of course you're going to struggle at first, but don't judge them and love them regardless.
Right, and our biology is really complicated. Sometimes it's related to trauma. Gender dysphoria can happen for a number of reasons. And actually the LDS transgender website is fantastic. It talks about loving and accepting your family member, and it talks about how it's not a sin to have these feelings. The church does recommend that you don't transition, which is pretty difficult for people. But to love and give space and really surrender. I have read a book that the main premise is that all unhappiness comes from a resistance to what is. When we try to control what's happening at the present moment, then we can run into some real unhappiness. And I know a lot of people struggle with that. And so,
I mean, I struggle with that. With Adana not doing gymnastics at the moment, like, I am more heartbroken than she is. I'm the one like, no, you gave 14 years of your life to this. You can't quit now. So it's like I'm grieving this thing that maybe she doesn't want anymore.
Right.
You know, and I'm having to love her through her transition, you know, and it's hard. Because, it's like unhappiness is coming because it's not what I want.
Right. And a lot of people get stuck there for a long time. It's like a half-life. Here's what you want. Here's what you have. Or whatever.
Right.
And seeing that can be hard. So you really have to embrace what's going on and learn to love what's happening.
Is this too bold of a question? Do they want to like do surgery to transition like completely, or maybe they already have?
Eventually, they want surgery.
They want to, and you'll be on board with that because you'll love them regardless, right?
Absolutely. I don't control Sky.
Yeah.
I don't control. And as an adult, Sky will make these choices, these hard choices, and I will be right next to them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing this, because it's mind-blowing in the state that we live in and the culture that we live in as members of the church, but the fact that you have loved your kid, I mean, I know it's been hard, but loved your kids through all of it is really admirable. And since this is a podcast about grit, what would you say has made you the most gritty through this whole situation, or your motherhood journey? What has given you, or at least helped you develop more grit?
That's a good question. I think that what we've been talking about is really important for that, to really surrender. To surrender to what is happening. I think a lot of times I'm a meditator, and when we meditate, it's like stay in the present moment. That doesn't bring you happiness. What brings you happiness is acceptance of what's happening in the present moment.
Oh, I love that.
That you can love what's happening, even when it's difficult. And I think that I really wanted to be the perfect mother, which I'm not. But I found that I can love perfectly. That is one thing that I can do perfectly, is always respond with love.
Yeah.
Always respond with, the most loving response.
Well, that's what Christ would do. That's what being a Christian is. I love that, though. Don't just be in the present, but actually accept it.
Accepting what's happening in the present moment. Yeah, that's huge for me.
So they can find all these groups on social media.
Absolutely.
Facebook, even Love Loud. Has he been to Love Loud?
No, but we're aware of it. Yeah.
Oh gosh, this was so good for me because of how I grew up. Very kind of black and white, and what to do and not to do, what to say and not to say. And I think that we're kind of reared to judge sometimes as members of the church and members and non-members of the church. But I love that you're out there showing members of our church, because you're still faithful in the gospel, that look, just because they've chosen this or they're this way, that it doesn't mean that we have to love them any less. And you're like a walking testimony of it as a faithful disciple with kids who have left, and you're still loving them through it.
Absolutely.
I love that. So thank you.
Thank
you for
very
doing
much.
this. Again, it is, oh my God, you just said the last name. Bithell.
Yeah, Bithell.
Candice Bithell, and her kids, Sky, Cole, and Emily. What was your husband's name?
Steve.
Steve. Great family, full of love and acceptance